see, it does look like a British redcoat, but do not get him confused.
I'll get angry.
He's on the same side, okay? So he is actually wearing almost exactly the reverse colors of my uniform. It's a lot easier to see red through all the smoke on the battlefield than it is blue, okay? And we want to make sure he's going to be seen because it was a bad thing to always aim your guns at the music, okay? You never did that. Do not destroy our car radio. That's who he is, okay? So he's basically going to be playing commands for us to get up in the morning, and believe it or not, that is one of the most terrible things because it's an alarm clock you just can't shut off. Right?
No snooze button.
Yeah. No snooze button with him. But he's also going to keep our morale up playing songs that we're all going to know we're probably going to sing on the march. So it's not going to be as boring as it probably would without him. Okay? So basically the same regiment of foot, same regiment. He is not going to be a British soldier. That's the key to all of this. Now our uniforms, again, are about the same. We're both wearing these nice tall caps. Feel free to go, sir.
Alright.
Okay. We are both wearing these shakos, and these shakos are going to be these hats made out of leather. They add about a foot to our height. So the taller you look, the scarier you look on the battlefield, okay? So these are the style of headwear in the War of 1812. All the armies around the world are going to be wearing these. Yellow hat cord is going to tell you that I am part of the artillery. Now, we are all wearing wool coats, so we are not cheating. Wool coats, 100% wool. And we wear this all year round. On a day like today, there is a breeze. I just feel it about 5 minutes after all of you do. Okay? Now, high collars, not really going to be protecting our neck. It's more of a style statement. Now, we wear layers and clothing underneath. So actually, I am actually wearing almost like a three-piece suit. And I wear this on a daily basis. Even in the middle of July and August, okay? So basically I have a, what we call a waistcoat or a vest underneath. And around my shirt collar, I have a leather neck stock. It is made out of leather. We're not cheating in this either. So what this does, it's tied about as tight as it can be without actually choking me. Actually, it gets very hard to talk after a while. So what happens is I cannot look down. I also cannot look side to side very easily. I have to bend my entire body. I can't just bend my neck. It's for posture. So in your chorus classes, of course that chorus instructor is always telling you to keep your posture. This leather neck stock constantly reminds you. So he doesn't have to keep on yelling. Tough crowd. Alright, this is one of the reasons why we still call the United States Marines today leathernecks, when the last to drop it from their dress uniform. I wear trousers. Breeches are out of style, so these are the knee breeches that are worn in the 18th century. We switched to trousers, more stylish. And around my shoes I have what we call spatterdashers, or spats or short gaiters. And these keep the rocks out of my shoes. So when I'm walking along and I get that freeloader rock on the inside of my shoe, with these I don't have to bend down and get that rock out, okay? Because on a march, almost impossible to do. You're stuck with that maybe for a few more miles down the road. Now being a soldier here, I am going to be using a musket. Musket that I'm using is going to be the infamous brown bess musket that redcoats use against the Americans. Okay? Except when the Americans actually start using them against redcoats as well. This is one of the most common flintlock muskets found all around the world, and believe it or not, some parts of the world, they're still used today, originals. We have three main parts to this musket. We have lock, stock, and barrel. Yes, we put all the parts together. We buy things today even, lock, stock, and barrel. Now the most important part of the gun is the lock. And the lock has three main parts. The first part we have right here looks like the head of a rooster. So what we do, we call it the other term for rooster in the English language. We call it a cock. Inside the jaws or the beak, there is a sharp, brittle rock. And what's going to happen is this piece of flint, or that rock, is going to scrape across this piece of steel. It's going to shave a piece of that steel off in the form of a spark. And what we want is a shower of sparks. So it's going to cause a little explosion called a flash. That flash travels a small hole into the main barrel, so it's actually drilled on the inside. And it's only about the diameter of a matchstick, so it's very, very small, meaning it becomes very clogged easily or fouled. So if we just have that powder going off in the pan, we have a flash in the pan. If you are a Buffalo sports fan, does that matter what season it is? Most likely the season will be a flash in the pan. Okay. I'm a Buffalo fan, so I can say that. No one else can. Now the barrel is about as smooth on the inside as it is on the outside. So this musket is in a rifle. No, this is a smoothbore musket, okay? At the time, we did have rifling. Rifling is old news. But rifling, still by the War of 1812, is too darn expensive. I can buy about 4 of these guns for every 1 rifle. That's a pretty good deal. And what rifling is, they are spiral grooves that go throughout the entire length of the barrel. The ball fits tightly within these spiral grooves, and the ball comes out like a football. It spirals. So that means it's accurate to hundreds of yards away. This musket, on the other hand, is like shooting a spit wad or throwing a snowball. Not accurate, right? Okay, it's not going to have that nice spiral. It's not going to go down through all of that very, very nice spiral grooves, causing that football spin effect. So non-accurate. So we actually have to line up in lines, facing each other at about a 50 to 75 yard distance. And that is the best chance of actually being able to hit somebody. Okay, so not too good at all. But that's why we're all standing in one long line. So hopefully not only will our guns work, but we'll also manage to hit something on the other end. Namely, a British redcoat. Okay? Believe it or not, it may look peaceful nowadays. 200 years ago, this was a war zone. Okay? The river was no man's land. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to load the musket for you, and the loading of the musket takes about 15 seconds. It's about 4 shots in 1 minute. This is the assault weapon. That's fast, okay? Today, not really. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to point the musket towards the enemy. That's the first step. Open pan, in charge. I'm going to reach back to my cartridge pouch, which is the next command of hand. Oh, I'm going to reach back with my right hand. Cartridge pouch, can take out a paper cartridge. What I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to tear this open, and both my hands are taken. I only have 2 of them. So what am I going to use to tear this open? My teeth. Okay, so cheers. Rip this open. Spit this out at the enemy. What I'm going to do next, I'm actually going to prime the pan. So I'm going to pour a small, minute charge of powder on the inside. So hopefully this will be enough to catch the spark. And what I'm going to do next, I'm actually going to close the pan with my 3 fingers, okay? Close the pan to protect the powder. We don't want it falling out. I'm going to draw the gun around. I'm going to pour down the rest of the charge, so the rest of the black powder, a musket ball, and the paper wadding. Now, do you think I'm really allowed to fire a musket ball today?
No.
No. For your safety, okay? So we're not allowed to fire a real musket ball at all. But we are going to be firing a paper with a powder charge. Hopefully nobody will be going down out there. Okay, if everything comes out right. Bad for business. What I'm going to do now, 2 swipes. Going to pull out the rammer. Going to ram down the charge. So that ball went from here all the way down to the bottom. So it's going to be able to be fired out and hopefully strike a redcoat on the other side of the battlefield. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually put down the rammer. I'm going to put it back with the gun. I'm actually going to tap it to tell myself and my officer that I did remember to put the rammer back. Soldiers would get so nervous, they leave the rammer down the barrel and they fire it out towards the enemy. And you'll never see it again, okay? And I'm sure he's not going to give it back to you. So the gun's completely loaded, ready to go. What I'm going to do now, so I'm going to put the gun to the shoulder position. This will tell my officer that the gun is actually ready to be fired. So this is my ready position. Again, about 15 seconds of loading and firing. what I'm going to do next, I'm actually going to put the gun to the right side of my face with the command of recover. Oh, I'm going to bring the gun right side of the face. Next command given by the officer is going to be make ready, 1, 2, bring the gun to full cock. Next command is going to be take aim. It was an American thing to say. The British are going to be yelling present your arms or present your piece. We are going to be yelling take aim, though we're probably not going to be hitting much. Okay? Point the gun at the enemy, and the last command is fire. So on the count of 3, I'll yell fire, and hopefully the gun will in fact fire. So let's try this. Let's test it out. 1, 2, 3, fire! Cool. Okay, as you can see, the Army no longer uses these guns today. Okay. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, fire! Okay, all of that worked for just 1 shot. And that's it. You're actually going to now have to reload the gun all over again in order to get that second, that third, and that 4th shot off in 1 minute. Now I have another tool to show you, one of my favorites. This is actually going to be what we call the bayonet. Because of its name, the bayonet developed by the French originally as a hunting tool. By the mid-17th century, they find it very good as a military weapon as well on these guns. So this turns this musket from a regular run-of-the-mill musket to a big, nice, long spear that you're going to march at somebody and try to scare them away. Okay? This was used for intimidation. 2, shot, bang! Bring this bayonet down, and we're actually going to be marching at the enemy. In a big, long line, by the way. And we're hoping that they're going to run away, and if they ran away, we've won the war. We won the battle, at least, okay? This bayonet's very deadly. The design is now outlawed. So armies around the world can no longer use this design of bayonet. So they can't use the 3 sides. This will produce a hole that is very hard to close. And if you can't close your wound, you're in trouble, okay? It stays open. And the other thing, without hopefully not losing too much of your appetite, these are dull. These are dull blades. So what it's going to do, it's not going to cause a stabbing clean cut like a knife. It's going to be very jagged. It's going to tear. And that's going to hurt that much worse, and that's as far and graphic as I'm going to go. Because I'll probably lose my own appetite, okay? But these were terrible. You wanted to run away from these. But they're inhumane. Geneva Convention says armies around the world cannot use this style of bayonet. Now the other good thing of this bayonet, it locks around the barrel, so what can I still do with the gun? I can load and fire, which makes this a really handy tool. I can lock this on the beginning of the battle and be able to go through the entire battle with it locked on and then maybe use it at the end. Okay? So bayonets, when these were actually in use, very good at ending battles, but today, they're very good at ending musket demonstrations. Great, thank you. You're welcome. On behalf of the Old Fort Niagara Association, yes, we are a privately run association maintaining the buildings. We want to thank you for visiting us today. Your visitation allows these buildings to stay open and stay well maintained. We do maintain the grounds ourselves. All the buildings are open for you right now, so if you have any questions, just feel free to ask any of us. We're very easy to see in our nice tall hats. But 80% of all the stonework is original. The French castle to your right, to my left, is actually the oldest stone building on the Great Lakes Basin. So around the Great Lakes, that's the oldest stone building. Okay? So it's really a jewel at really a corner of New York State. Because if you get any further, it's not the end of the world, but you can see it from here. I'm joking, it's just Canada. No, I'm joking. Part Canadians. So does anybody have any questions?